Is currently neutralized, and there was a spectator who fell over a fence. The fence came on the street and the guys in the breakaway crashed over the fence. What's up guys, what's up cycling fanatics? Today we're going to Baarn. It's gonna be a race in front of my home crowd. I've won this race last year and today I'm gonna do my best to win it again. Different circumstances. This year it's elite men, last year was amateurs. This year we have a baby. Last year I didn't, so it's all crazy. The only thing is just to pack up the car and then we can leave. Hallo. Ja.
12 seconds later.
Die heb ik net gemist. Een hele shirt ondergekotst. Ja.
Zou ik ook op moeten huilen?
Ik zou ook gaan huilen dan.
One eternity later.
Okay. I hope we can still fit the baby in there. This weekend I don't have a car from Nefkens because the race is in Baarn and I always go to Baarn to pick up the car. So we actually just go to Baarn to race the race. No use to get the other car. However, today it would have been pretty helpful. But we're gonna make it happen.
Eventually.
Made it. We've unpacked half of our stuff, then parked the car, and now I need to get the rest out of here. Hold on. Okay. So you guys might remember last year's race. I already said it, I actually won the race. Now if you didn't see that, go check it out. The link is up here, top of the video. Knallen jongens! Rennen! They're already busy with the race. Right now is the Masters category. My buddy Martijn Broekman is going right here. Broekman, come up! And my parents' house is right in the middle of the track. Pretty easy. I'm gonna drop my stuff here and then I'm super central to the start, getting my number, ready for a warm-up, everything. So just cruising through my old street, get registered and then change, do a warm-up. It's 2 o'clock right now, the race starts a 3:15, so I still have more than an hour to go. Changing into my race kit. Dude, this week has been super tiring actually. After last week's race, the Ronde van Midden-Nederland, 200 kilometers in the pro peloton. The next day I flew to Seoul, South Korea, through the night. So we left on Monday, 10 o'clock at night. And I came back Thursday morning. So I skipped 2 nights within 3 days. So the lack of sleep is really turning down my recovery, and I still feel my legs from last week. So that's not too good. Anyway, great excuse not to win today, but still I'm gonna go for it. Reinforcements have arrived. For sure. Getting my number pinned by my mom for a change. A couple guys of the team are racing today, so let's see what we can do. Not sure how big the field is, probably around 50-60 riders. Today's criterium is 80 kilometers, so a little bit longer than last year. Weather circumstances are pretty good, it's nice and warm. So I'm looking forward to race, even though I'm not really feeling super strong, but like I said, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna see how it goes and do my best. Alright guys, here we go. The start of the race. The 12th edition of the Ronde van Hartje Baarn, which is a criterium in my old hometown, Baarn. And this is the start. We're gonna take you through the first lap. There was about 50 or 60 guys in this race today, and this is the elite man category mixed with amateurs. We've got a whole bunch of strong riders. We've got some continental riders joining in this race today, so it was a strong field. Here we are on the brick road. It was pretty bumpy. I used a quite low tire pressure to compensate for these bumpy streets.
And we're gonna go through this very sharp corner right here. First time through the corner, it was pretty slow. You'll see in the rest of the footage, it's gonna get faster and faster. By the way, you can see all the data on the screen. Everything from my cycling computer is on the screen. We've got the speed and the cadence in the left bottom. Next to that, you'll see the distance into the race, my heartbeat. At the bottom, of course, the power. And then you can follow me on the track layout that you'll see at the top right. And then the time into the race in the left. And I even got a rear view mirror today. So I've got a second camera behind the saddle, looking backwards. And it's gonna show you everything that happens behind me. So here we are on the long straightaway. Very fast. It was a slight wind from the right. Or actually sort of a headwind. And here it's 2 corners to go to the finish. Another nice turn. This was actually a pretty fast turn. And then this is the straight for the finish, which is in a curve. So not a very easy sprint finish. You'll have to be quite far in the front to actually be able to go for any place here in the finish. So this was the first lap. So here we are only about 5 minutes into the race, and they put in a 3-lap preem. That means for 3 laps in a row, they're gonna give out points for the first 3 riders. And then over those 3 laps, the average best rider will get the preem. So here we are finishing the first lap. And I'm in the wheel of my teammate who's been riding up front for the whole lap. So I defend the line on the inside on that last corner to not have the other guys overtake. And I just keep an eye on the back, and as soon as they start sprinting, I pull out a sprint. So here we are for the second lap of the 3-lap preem. And again, pushing out some sprints only at the last minute to be with the first 3 riders to get some points. And here we are in the 3rd lap, and I already got 1st and 2nd place. So the guys behind me, they don't even bother, and I get 3rd, and I ended up with the preem. So that's pretty cool. 11 minutes into the race. This is a pretty fast turn, and here we started attacking. Now last year the breakaway happened in like the first 10 minutes of the race, so I was very sharp at the beginning of this race. And I knew that it was possible that the break would have happened straight away from the beginning. So I was up there in the front the whole time, trying to attack and keeping up in the front. Here we are with another preem. So there were like 9 preem laps of 8 preems. So the first 8 riders will get a preem. 16 minutes into the race. Here you can see the whole group is together. And a lot of guys are going to battle for this preem. I can take a nice outside line, overtake a lot of guys, and end up in a pretty good position here. I won't make it for the first spot, but I will get up there with the first 8 riders, so I'll get some of those preems. Here we are sprinting and finishing. I was, I don't know, 5th. 22 minutes into the race, another preem lap. Again, same story. First 8 riders will get a preem. And if you guys want to see how these situations unfold, you can always check out the full race footage. The link is in the description, and I've got the whole race from beginning to start. It's about 1 hour 45 in one video. So you can check it out while you're on the rollers, on the indoor trainer, have something to look at, have some motivation. Check out that video. And here I got another preem, and we continue with the race. Still everything is together. You can see the first car right there in front of me. So I'm still in the front of the pack, and here 4 guys are attacking. And I saw them go, and I figured, alright, this might be interesting. And a lot of guys react. Everybody starts chasing. So I didn't think this was gonna be the breakaway. I wasn't worried at all about this move. And there was also one guy with my team that was in that attack, so I wasn't gonna chase super hard from the beginning. So I'm just gonna let other guys chase it, and I'm gonna stay with them. And it didn't seem like they had too much of a lead in the start, but this changed later into the race. Right here you can see the speed is dying down. There's still 1 or 2 riders up there, and these moments are tricky. So when the peloton sort of stops pushing, everybody starts looking at each other. The moment you are up there, just attacked, that's the moment when you have to continue. And that's the moment when you can actually break away from the peloton and have a gap. And as soon as that gap is established, it's gonna be super hard to close the gap again. And for some reason, there's a couple of good riders in the peloton. There's a couple teams which are not in that breakaway. They don't have a guy up front, but nobody started working, nobody started chasing real hard. So the lead of those couple guys in the front actually got bigger and bigger. And then like the next lap was already over 20 seconds. So right here, it's one lap later. I can't really see what's going on all the way up in the front because it's all single file, so it's a long way up to the front. I was in the assumption that everything was back together again, but it turned out there a couple guys got away and their lead was getting bigger and bigger. And it's hard to figure that out until you get either to the finish and the speaker calls out the distance, or you have somebody next to the racetrack who's gonna call out the amount of seconds. And then a couple minutes later, right now, we've got another preem lap, and usually the speed goes up in these preem laps. So I figured, well, if they are in a break and we're gonna battle for this preem, we're gonna get so much speed with the peloton, it's gonna be easy to catch them back. So a couple assumptions I did in this race turned out to be wrong, and that's why I missed the breakaway and I was not in that break when it happened. Here's the finish of the preem lap, and of course there's a break, so we're battling only for place, I don't know, 6, 7 and 8, which I found out about here. So this is when I knew that there actually was a break. So right now I'm looking back, I'm on this long straightaway and we have a gap with the peloton. So right now we're in between the breakaway and the peloton, and this might have been a good moment for us to really start working together and get up the speed and start chasing back that peloton. But turns out there wasn't really too much organization, and every time I started pulling hard, they were just hanging my wheel, and then maybe one guy would take over and then everything stopped again. So another preem lap, and again, only for the first 2 preems, so I let it go. I see I'm not in there with the first 2, 3 guys. I'm not gonna sprint for a place that's not gonna get a chance on a preem, so I just let them go. And the thing is, with the preem laps, sometimes it speeds up the pack, but it always messes with organization, because just before the finish, guys don't want to be in the front, so they're gonna wait, they're gonna sandbag other guys, and in the end, when you're in the breakaway working together with 6 guys, you're gonna be so much faster than when you're in the peloton sprinting for preems every 5 or 10 minutes. So it turns out we're never gonna catch these guys back. Just like right now, I'm pushing hard in the front, and as soon as I flick my arm for the other guy to take over, he does nothing. He's just hanging in my wheel, and it seems like nobody else is racing to win this race. You know, I missed out on the breakaway, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna stop pushing. So right now I see a couple strong guys, and I tell them like, hey man, you wanna start working together? We can catch this breakaway back. And they agree. They're like, yeah, okay, let's do this. So we start pushing pretty hard. I've got like 4 or 5 riders that are willing to work. So here we go onto this long straightaway, and we start rotating nicely. Here you can see the speed going up, 53 kilometers an hour, 54, and we're rotating. Other guy takes over, one other guy takes over, and then it stops. And then as soon as these guys sort of see that the rest is not taking over, they quit on the whole attack as well, and then it was all for nothing. So if these 4 or 5 riders would have kept on going, we had so much speed, we could have catched those guys in the front back, but it wasn't happening. Just the organization wasn't there. It seemed like all these riders individually, they wanted to work hard, but as soon as we tried to work together, it didn't work. So I don't know if they just don't want to win the race, or they're okay with being in the peloton. I felt like I was pulling a lot here in the front, and every time I started pulling, there was only 1 or 2 guys with me who wanted to work, and then like half a lap later everything fell apart. So again, pulling hard. I've got 2 guys with me, and they're all working pretty hard. This guy in white from Delta, he was taking some massive pulls throughout this race. And then you look back and you can see the peloton chasing us again until they're in our wheel, and then they stop instead of overtaking and helping everybody keeping up the speed. Here we went through that sharp turn and I actually screamed, "Don't brake so hard." It seems like a couple of these riders were, I don't know if they were scared but they were just braking way too hard. Again, braking way too hard for this corner. You can go so much faster through these corners if you use the proper technique and the proper line. So pretty much every time I went through these corners, I had to brake harder than I wanted if I wasn't in the first place, or I would just immediately have a gap going through these corners because the guy behind me wasn't as fast. And this can be an advantage if you want to either attack right after one of these corners, or if you just want to keep up the speed and momentum. Have a little gap to the guy in front of you, and then through the turn you'll have more speed and you'll close the gap just right there after the turn because you have more momentum, and that saves you a little bit of acceleration every time you go through this turn. So that is actually pretty nice. Again, we've got a good pace. A couple guys work together. I blazed through this turn with almost 40k an hour, and then I have a massive gap. They're not staying in my wheel, and actually there's like a group in front of me. So what happened in this race, that every time there would be a gap somewhere, and if you're behind a gap you don't notice from the beginning, but as soon as you come to the front of your little group, you see another group right there in front of you with a big gap. You're like, damn, I have to close this gap or I'm gonna be finishing in the second or third group of the race, which you don't want to happen. So again, am I in the front of the peloton? It looked like it, but it's not. That's not the case. There's another group in front of me, and I felt like this was happening more and more during the race. So somehow I was being pushed back a little bit halfway the race. So I tried to move my way up to the front a little bit more to keep with those first 5 to 10 riders, so you're able to see what is going on in the front of the race. Now, we went through that corner. You might have seen it, but there was a crash in that last turn, so the race got neutralized. So right now everybody needs to stop. The race is currently neutralized. There was a spectator who fell over a fence. The fence came on the street and the guys in the breakaway crashed over the fence. So currently there's stuff going on to help the lady, and the whole race is stopped at the moment. So we're gonna wait for that. The breakaway is having a lead of 1 minute 26. So we'll probably never catch that back. I tried hard, but I just missed it when it went. I saw it going, I figured I'll leave it for a little bit, but I waited too long and then we never got it back. So let's see what happens when the race continues. Alright, we are restarting the race. The peloton had like 1 minute 5 second lead. So what they do is they let the guys of the peloton take off. They wait for 1 minute and 5 seconds and then they let us go. The guys in the breakaway actually crashed pretty hard, but they were still able to continue. However, we were going pretty slow. The guys in the peloton were not working anymore at all, and it felt like nobody wanted to chase back these guys in the break. Even though all these guys in the peloton did not have any teammates in the breakaway, they just didn't want to work. And I still wanted to chase back that peloton. I raced to win. It doesn't matter if I'm in the peloton. I just want to get the breakaway back because I don't want to race to finish in the peloton when there's a break up there. So then I might as well just waste all my energy in the chase, still having a chance to catch it back and having a chance to actually win the race. Now this kid, he was following me pretty fast. He tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, let's go. So we started going pretty hard, and I figured maybe we can break off from the peloton and at least finish separately together. It takes a little while, and then the guys in the peloton, they start getting up to speed, and they just chase us down, get in our wheel, and then do nothing. Like it has been the whole freaking race. So right here we've got one guy who's taking a pull, but that's it. The other guys in the peloton, they were just closing the gap and do nothing. So really annoying. It seems like nobody else is racing to win except for like these 1 or 2 individuals who would push out some nice wattages in the front when we're trying to chase everything down. But that never really turned out to be successful. So right now we've got 10 kilometers to go. Whole peloton is back together except for that breakaway who has like a 1 minute 20-second lead. And again, there's no organization. Everybody's sort of looking at each other, doing nothing. Every time I take a long pull and I flick the arm for another rider to overtake, nothing happens. And then they throw in another preem lap. So there's 6 extra preems only for the peloton. And this is just to keep it fun for us and the spectators. So here we are pushing hard on this single lap, and now everybody wants to sprint because they can win a couple euros. I ended up, I don't know, 5th or 6th place, so I still got that preem, but as soon as the preem lap is over, nothing happens. I'm in the front, and I'm yelling at these guys because nobody's doing anything. We've got Martin van Platering here on the right side. He was willing to work once in a while, so he starts pushing, but he's just a solo guy, and nobody reacts. So, you know, I figured, well, okay, I'm gonna try. So here I go, accelerate towards him. And as soon as I do that, everybody behind me starts accelerating again. And you just pull the whole peloton, so it's no use. Here we go, 2 laps to go. And the guy in front of me, he looks back, he sees me, immediately flicks his arm and lets a gap. I'm like, dude, close the gap, keep the wheel. But he just does nothing, and he starts following my wheel. And we start just getting up the speed. There's a couple of guys in front of me, so I'm actually in a pretty decent position here to do these last 2 laps into the finish. Coming up here on that long straightaway, we push pretty hard, and here we just have a nice gap. I mean, we're pulling off from that peloton, so I'm looking behind me. I've got Jordi here from my team. I've got this kid right here in the 67 who was willing to work before, so I knew he was gonna push hard, and I figured, well, maybe we can just keep this gap. It's only 1 lap, so let's work hard and try to stay in front. But you know, at the end, that's not gonna work. The last lap right now, and best thing to do is just try to stay in the peloton and wait to start your sprint. Now Jordi is taking the lead here. He is just riding in front, and I was just gonna follow him. If he was gonna be able to keep up the speed high enough for all these sandbaggers to stay in our wheels, then this would not even be a very bad situation to be in, because I can pull the sprint just coming out of the last corner, and it would actually be a pretty decent finish. Right here I tell him to go, 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 because the guys in the peloton are starting to really wind up and started going on the gas. So Jordi is actually very strong, so he's just staying in the lead here, and I'm gonna protect his line. So I'm gonna go to the right, I'm gonna sprint out, make sure that nobody wants to come on the inside. Still one guy is going on the inside. I swing out to the left to cut the corner. I've got more momentum. I start sprinting, going around him, but he looks back, blocks me on the right side, then he looks back again and blocks me on the left. So instead of just going for the sprint, he's more worried about getting back at me for blocking his line, because he thought I was making a dick move. Now, I was just covering up for my teammate, and I didn't want everybody to overtake us in the inside of that last corner, but I'll leave you guys to judge. Don't forget to drop me a like on this video, and before you leave, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification so you get an update whenever I post a video. So that's it. I missed it again, unfortunately. I was working hard in the front, grabbing those preems, and then just when the breakaway actually happened, I figured, nah, we're gonna wait for a little bit, and afterwards attack after attack, but it was too late. Dragging the whole peloton in your wheel every time you attack to close the gap, it's not gonna happen. So legs were tired, but
I didn't feel too bad, so if I would have made it into the break, who knows what could have happened. But I couldn't win this year. Maybe next year, who knows? It's time for some rest. So, Elias, you made it into the breakaway.
Yeah, I did.
Nice job, man. Unfortunately, you had a flat.
Yeah, I had a flat tire, so I had to get another wheel, and I didn't have one myself.
You get a wheel from some random guy.
Yeah, thanks, guy.
Thanks, guy, for lending Elias the wheel.
He said I was already left, so
Oh,
yeah.
so he could finish the race, but you know,
I was tired. The second part, I was like really like
dead.
tired, like that. Like,
Always these excuses.
Oh.
Like road cyclists always have excuses. I have
Yeah.
excuses. He has excuses.
Especially me. Yeah. Actually, I was missing Jasper a little bit in the breakaway. I was
Yeah.
looking behind. I said, what is he doing?
What is he doing? I missed it. Anyway, we'll try it again next year. Ja, dan nummer 41.
Kijk, dat bedoel ik.
Kijk eens.
Is dat Verkuijl?
Een stapeltje. Ja, dank u wel. In the beginning of the race, I was still pretty sharp, so I managed to snag a whole bunch of preems, and I got 11th at the end. So not super good, but it's okay. Guys, I hope you liked the video. Make sure hit the subscribe button, give me a like, and I'm gonna see you next time. See ya!
Dan moet je terug kunnen kijken.